Present.
Trustee Owen.
Here.
Trustee Sabrowski.
Here.
Trustee Nicole.
Here.
Trustee South.
Here.
Trustee Chadwick.
Here.
President Birmingham.
Here, thank you very much. Take approval of the minutes, regular board meeting from September 15th.
I move to approve the regular board meeting minutes of September 15th, 2020. All trustees have had them prior and have a chance to submit any questions they have. I also have questions.
Second motion.
Any questions? Yes.
I would ask if we could table approving these until the next meeting, only because there's a couple of areas in this that had a lot of feedback, went back and forth with the trustees, aren't really listed in here. It's just pretty much what we voted on, ayes and nays. And had a couple of residents, I don't know if you realize, a lot of residents read these minutes. And so I would just ask that, and I've talked to Melanie already, this one area, if she could just change it. And,
To the left.
okay, basically, like, last meeting I talked extensively, and I think a lot of board meeting members did, about the paramedic charges going towards residents. And, you know, it's not listed in here anything that I said at all, just as I voted nay. I would think that I would like the residents to know that I have reason to vote nay, rather than just I voted nay. There's nothing in here to indicate
Did you
why.
discuss with the?
Yes. Said that we can vote on tonight and table it for. But I just, you know, otherwise it just looks like I just randomly said nay.
And then we would have to do that with all the meetings, you know, more discussion on each topic, not just that one.
Well, yeah, I think anytime there's things that's particular with any trustee that votes nay from the majority of the board or minority of the board, that why should be listed, because it just looks like we're.
Okay, I'm remembering, right, we went over this a couple of times, why they do that. I know with Kristen, when she was taking minutes, we went a lot over, I mean, that's all is available, but to write it in everything that's.
No, I didn't say everything. I want to be clear on that. I didn't say everything. Most of the things that we vote on are either unanimous or there isn't any discussion. But on the things that are discussion, I mean, a while ago, Sally had a lot of discussion going on when the children garden was there. Yet there's not anything really listed, then she votes on hers. I just think specific things should be listed, but it's up to the board. I mean, it's.
I want to just, I would suggest we approve these, but then we bring it back for discussion.
Can that be done?
I would probably suggest you not approve them. Just have a different version over the next meeting.
All right,
That's right.
so the motion is to table this, yeah, please.
I guess, Todd, what would be your recommendation on how we would go about this? And I mean, you've been doing this forever, so.
When I first started here, the village manager's administrative assistant at the time spent probably 4 full days on the minutes. They were very detailed. Then we went back to less detail. I think this is probably the least detail I've seen. But I mean, legally, all we have to have is motions in. The other thing is we have a videotape of all of our meetings available for all the detail. That's one of the reasons we went to less detail, because you can always watch the video. You can see what everybody said. Maybe somewhere in between, you know, a couple lines about what was discussed, because it's going to be hard if it's a long drawn out item where each trustee's got their own idea what
That's not what I'm looking for, just, you know, that's not what I'm looking for. We just have nothing there, and also,
So just a few lines? Yeah, that would be that hard.
and only on certain times, I mean, not the, I remember the meetings, I was on the board.
I mean, I'm all for it's up. We can table this, but understand this just opens up another thing we can talk about. That's, I might be able to see that.
Yeah,
And we have
that'd be great.
discussed this, am I right? Kristen, am I right that we have discussed this?
Yes, I was thinking about when that this had happened in the past,
Kristen,
and
you go to the mic, just because we were recording it now, it won't catch you at all.
when this had happened in the past, there was a trustee who wanted certain wording in, and we've gone back and forth. I kept trying to rewrite it. So the challenge with summarizing it is that there's there's how.
It's
And so
a subjective
with the
process.
idea to not be, giving only one side, so if you say, well, there was a nay and it was because of this instance, well, what about the reason that everyone said yes? And that's not to do with this one in particular. But, I had sent out, I thought this had gone to everyone and I don't know if it ever went anywhere. There was some discussion maybe.
John Macy gave us an opinion or
Yes.
told us that
That's,
if a trustee wanted something added to the minutes, you could add it as there or add it to the minutes.
so like if you saw that, in
Fine,
fact,
but it's from you, disagree.
because then your side, you would get to have, and then the board votes on that, so they would say, trustee Guardian's amendment, and then you would put in there what you wanted, but it wouldn't be, it puts a little burden on the clerk to know what things to put in,
To decide
Well,
his thoughts.
I don't think-
that's a
and that's
good
why,
idea.
the village attorney did give that
I mean,
sketch, and
but that's what I
sent around, and that's how we
remember
worked.
we came through
We
this
worked it out with
before,
that
and the idea was, if any board member really wants to expand on the minutes, it would be their
Yeah.
expansion, let's say, non-Guardian expansion, that was the same.
That makes
That's
sense.
fine.
I like that too.
Okay, so we'll, table it, we'll,
Well, we could, you want to table it, approve it, you want to add it later?
what you just said, it's
It's up to Ron, really.
up to you.
Well, I mean-
Move as it is, and you can bring it back.
You can have, send an email to Melanie with what you want stated, or attach it to the minutes.
But then it would be the next minute, so we have this.
No, we put them on this meeting minutes, so really you have to shift table up because the board should decide if they want to add.
I'm fine with it. Well, I will,
I'm fine with that.
so we need a motion to table.
Make a motion to table the minutes.
Second.
Take a roll call.
Trustee Guardian.
Aye.
Trustee Olet.
Aye.
Trustee Sabrowski.
Aye.
Trustee McFall.
Aye.
Trustee South.
Aye.
Trustee Chapman.
Aye.
President Bernstein.
Thank you very much. Okay, that's all.
I'll contact you.
Item number 5, first citizens comment period. So citizens, please, come on up and, talk. You have, 3 minutes if you're individual, 5 minutes as a group. And remember, we are kind of keeping an eye on the time now, so we all have to. Go ahead, please.
Good evening, Board, citizens of Greendale. I'm Wally Quimby. I live at 6123 Downing Street.
Have them sign.
Um,
Have them sign in.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
It's hard for the clerk to get their address.
Okay. I'll do it after I'm done.
All right.
But it was brought to my, or I was unable to attend the last meeting, and I heard that there was some discussion brought up in regards to a 3-way stop sign on Devonshire and Sherwood. Previously to that, I got a little sick and I wasn't able to attend last meeting, but I made up a petition, my wife and I did, and it says we are requesting a 3-way stop sign to be placed at the corner of Sherwood and Devonshire in Greendale. The amount of excessive speeding, especially during summer months, creates a danger to pedestrians and vehicles both. The posted 25-mile-an-hour speed limit is mostly ignored in this high pedestrian traffic area. The amount of time officers spend trying to slow people down is also a valuable waste of resources. And as the chief can probably attest to, I have probably called 20, 40 times this year, as a number of my neighbors have. I have here over 100 signatures from people where I walk door to door. I have their printed names, address, and signatures in regards to wanting this stop sign. This is just like 2 Sunday afternoons. If you want, I'll get more. But like I said, I have over 100 of them. They are on Downing, they are on Devonshire, they're in Dobson Court, Dartmoor, Doyle. They're all over in the D section. I only received one person that I went to that did not want to sign it. Everybody else is unanimous in wanting the stop sign because it is absolutely ludicrous. And I've heard that maybe you guys want to do a study. If you're going to do a study now, it's ridiculous because tennis season is over, Village Club is over, but they're still bombing by there. I mean, even when they have their little tennis matches, it's ludicrous. It's ludicrous. And I would shudder to think that some child gets hurt, and there have been screeching wheels and locked up wheels and honking and people crossing that crosswalk on Devonshire that goes directly to the high school. And this has to stop, because there's too many of these kids going by like this on the phone, driving 25, 35, 40 miles an hour. And I've seen this black Mercedes comes by doing 50, 60, and I go down to the Village Club, and he gets out and he's running to the match because he's got his tennis rackets with him, and he's late for his tennis match, and he's gonna kill somebody. It's ludicrous.
I'll ask you to leave that with the clerk.
What?
I'll ask you to leave your thing with the clerk.
Okay, just like,
You can just give it to me.
all right. And unfortunately, I can't stay the whole evening because I wake up very early to go to work. So,
We wouldn't be discussing this. Okay.
thanks.
His name is Jerry Siegel, 5856 Ramona. A couple of things. I always show up telling you what the village board did wrong. I want to compliment whoever worked on it, because the traffic light on Grange and Loomis is finally working the way the state put it in, even though it took them 3 months to turn it on. So anybody at the village board that did work on it, I appreciate it. Thank you. I have two other things, sort of derail a little bit of my argument on the minutes. That was one of my points. I normally, the minutes are almost always approved. I never remember being tabled. I noticed that the meetings, the September 15th meeting, which was the ones you were discussing, were approved at this meeting, which they weren't. That means that they will not be published at the earliest, will be tomorrow, so people can get a look at it. If someone wanted to comment or ask questions on those minutes, they'd have to wait till the next village board meeting, bring it up. That would be on October 20th. That's 5 weeks after the minutes were generated that people would have to comment. I was wondering, is it possible for the village to publish a draft, which is not an official document, but at least give people a chance to look at the minutes, so if they show up tonight, they can comment on what was in it, knowing well that it's not an official document until it's approved, but just to see what's in it. I think it would help everybody. It's a 5-week lag between a minutes and making a comment. Seems excessive. The other one is, I'm sure the chief will answer most of these questions, but I had a question on the repainting of the fire hydrants. I noticed that it's been discussed and possibly acted on, changing from green to red. Question is, if this is a normal maintenance item where they're painted on a regular schedule and they want to go from green to red, go to it, no problem at all. My question is, if we do it just for some reason, like it's going to be more visible red than green, I have a question. Doesn't the fire department have a map showing the location of every fire hydrant in Greendale? They have to look at a color, they know where they all are. Why paint them red? If you want to see them grow, paint them 100 orange. That'll really make them stand out. And what is the cost? The cost is, I do not object to the village if they want to spend money meaningfully. But I feel we have to look at every expense, and just to change it from green to red could be a cost, and I'm sure the chief will address that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the first round here?
It's Calvin, right to the left of the podium.
My name is John Bergner. I live at 8501 Parkland Drive in next door neighbor Franklin. I'm here to represent my father. I'm going through the process. I would like to see the intermediate gymnasium named after my father, who taught there for 37 years. He's been deceased now since 2008. And I just want to know what the process I need to go through. You know, do I go through the school board? You know, first, do they do that? And then, you know, but it's, I want to let you all know, because you represent the city of Greendale. He served on the Police and Fire Commission and, you know, lived here for 60 years.
I would say,
I was
this
approached the
is a
school
school
board.
board, you'd have to go to them first.
Okay,
That's that too. Alan Gardner.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to be on that.
Okay, thank you, Rob.
Thanks, John.
Anyone else wish to thank you? Thank you.
Good evening. Linda Larson, 5586 Municipal Square. I'm here tonight just to announce an event that we have this Saturday from 10 to noon to support our police officers, called Give Back the Badge. And we've had a really good response to it so far. Greendale's a great community, and I think that it's time that we show some positive reinforcement and how fortunate we are to have them here to protect us every day. And then also by request, we are going to do a short parade from the village hall up to the police station, just so that we can be there to support them and show them how thankful we are. But this is a community event. I've had so much support. I want to give a special shout out to Judith Wishman. She has been a real fighter for this to get the word out for me. And so I hope you guys can make it. Do you have it? Oh.
Anyone else, wish around here?
Hello, my name is Heather Godley. I live at 531 Northway Road in Greendale. And I just passed around a flyer. I'm looking to invite everyone to a free event next Wednesday. I'm a member of the Greendale Welcomes Diversity Education Committee. And this free program is featuring renowned Milwaukee area historian and griot Reggie Jackson. And he will be looking at how Milwaukee became the most segregated metropolitan area in the country and how Greendale's unique history is part of that process. He will also be suggesting some ways that Greendalers can remedy the legacies that we still live with. I have heard him speak before. He's fascinating. I think everyone will really enjoy it. It will be an interactive session on Zoom, and then we'll answer questions afterwards. So again, free event next Wednesday. And we already have, I think, 637 people already who have expressed interest on the Facebook event. So there's registration information so that you can get the Zoom link to attend. So thank you very much.
Anyone else? First one. We have another one coming up. That one will go along. New communications 20-05. Recommendation of 2020 street rehabilitation plan.
Thank you. This list is from village engineer, along with public works director and myself had reviewed road projects for next year. As you recall, we're trying to do a little bit so that we can get them all spec'd out and get bids out earlier, hopefully get a better price. Projects we're suggesting for next year are Road, Gordon Ridge Lane, and Parkview Road. And then we also want to bid as an alternate, depending on how prices come in, and Field Avenue. And the list where the funding would come from in that memo also includes a map of where those streets are.
That's not, I mean,
Question for you, Ben, what was supposed to get done last year or this year, but we cut it? What was in the alternate? Why we're gonna see it in here?
Yeah, the reason we didn't do it is because it has a long history of water main breaks. So we're gonna have to do the water main before we do the road. And with the way our water rates are right now, we weren't comfortable doing another big water project that it was gonna have to raise rates again.
That was just so bad.
It is. Unfortunately, now isn't the time where we felt comfortable doing the names. We are gonna actually try to do the one main that recently burst behind, the A section homes in the woods there. We're gonna try to see if we can do that one next year. Just because when it breaks in, kind of in the park, so nobody sees it, you don't get called, and the tower level goes, down too much, and then it causes other system issues. All I'm asking is that we refer this to the Public Works Committee for review and recommendation.
And then we wouldn't actually vote on that until after we do the budget, right? Because we don't know how much we're gonna happen.
You can go on with it if you want. Afterwards, the later we get out, the later. it is.
I don't think this will come back to
No, the Public Works Committee is not going to be next week.
and our meetings for finance.
You can do it.
Jason.
I guess we have to do our roles, so it really doesn't matter what the budget is, like, if we have to borrow money to do roles,
Okay.
we have to do roles.
This amount will be in the manager's recommended budget. There's enough money to cover these roads.
So when we say we gotta do roads, but we gotta have some idea of budget, and I know I'm talking to. So there's a couple ways we can do it, we can figure out how to pay for roads and borrow money, and that's where we want. That's the board's thing, so, if we wanna do it at budget time, or if it's always. Let's talk about it. We just gotta figure out where we. Yes.
Roads are important for everyone here knows that, but I kind of agree with trustee Left. A little closer to budget than this year recommended. I know it's already in yours, but in case we wanted to make changes for or against close to the budget, it makes more sense than doing it too early. We aren't sure what we have. And that will come up. I'm not adverse to it.
And I'm not either, but I agree with you, just better, the budget time, let's see where we can go with the ones. This whole water project.
I drove all three of these roads and they all are very, very bad. I mean, I'd say Thornwood probably is the worst. I couldn't believe how bad that one was. So no doubt they need to be fixed, but, there are other roads too, but you know, these are really bad.
But I think if you go right now, I think we'd all be amazed on the utility.
Yes.
We've gotten very quickly
Yeah.
over time.
Right.
That way 2 years ago, and some of them are.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing.
If the budget comes in at a decent amount or whatever, is there any possibility that if we do have money left over, is there any way we could add some more streets to that? Or, I mean, it sounds like they're gonna wanna hold it up until after there's the budget decisions have been made, so yeah.
We can do that anytime.
Again, you know, it's 4 streets that we're only doing, and that's sure not keeping them for our plan. It doesn't seem like that, you know, doesn't seem like a whole lot of work to do. You know, we're short roads too, so.
It's the dollar, and do it now.
Guys, just following Robbie said, I know last year, I made us kind of think about, I don't remember what the years were, but it was like 60 years to get caught up.
Well,
And I feel
64
like
years to do all our roads in one
to
time.
get caught up where we need to be on a capital improvement plan. And it seems like we're taking a step back here. I understand we got 2020's been crazy. But if we can borrow money, it's great, you know, we just, I'm not saying we need to do it, but we should look at everything.
Well, we should look at it.
I want to
There's
farther
also
back.
Several issues this year, with the pandemic, which we were constrained to face. And everything else now, Wisconsin's taking a step back on closing business again a little bit more. So I mean, really, I think we've got to look at the broader picture. Is this the time to dump money on all the streets that people want us to do?
Right. No, I
Maybe
get
we
it.
have feedback from them as well.
Yeah, no, 2020's been a crazy year, so, but I just don't want to take a step back. Also, we got Southridge with, you know, we gotta look at that, so
Exactly.
I get it.
I agree with it all, so I think we'll have some realistic I would do it, Sally, please.
I was just gonna say, I'm really very uncomfortable with spending any extra money right now. With what's going on. I kind of like to have us get a better handle on what we're doing on our budget, for all the departments and stuff, and then handle, what extra we can afford, okay? But I think this is something that seriously, this is, something I think for this coming year that we need to seriously take, do what we can do, okay? But right now, I don't see anything extra. I truly do not.
You can wait as long as you want for the final approval, let's say, picking the streets. But you have to realize that once we do that, then the engineer has to engineer the project. You have to have the sewer lines televised, make sure that none of them need to be replaced, or sections need to be replaced. And then it has to go out for bid. So, I mean, we really need to do it probably about the time the budget gets approved. I think that's safe.
I think that's what we're looking at, the budget hearings we're going on in the next 3 weeks. We can take a look, and I think that's the reality check, it's really, and there are other ways, listen, there are other ways that other communities do roads and they've done quickly, and that's, we all know where that comes from, that's either borrowing or either doing some stuff that's really giving you, building your debts, and just as high as that what we do now. I agree with you, 64 years, to do all the roads, I mean, we have some bad roads, so maybe this is time to really talk about where we need to go. Yes, we're working with the insurance.
One quick add, I know we do have to repair the roads, but I would like also to put some things in there about the paths. Like the village paths, I'm just saying if we're gonna do an alternate, I would just like to bring that up, we could take a look at that.
And that's another important.
And
Jason, please.
Is it, I've actually talked about this the last 2 years, is it possible that we could talk about doing a referendum in April? And for say 10 million or 15 million and do tons of roads, and like get a jump on this?
It would just be advisory. If that's what you mean.
So that's what I just said, you want to put it to the public. Advisory, one is where you're gonna put, it's gonna cost us some money, but put it out to the public, is this where they want us to go or not? Because it is $2 million, $3 million.
Hey, just, can I, out of curiosity, can I ask the other trustees and what they think on that?
A referendum is fine, right? Just ask them their
But
opinion.
I don't wanna bring it up now and see where everybody is, but let's talk about whether that's where we're gonna go. Because again, the cost of a referendum, from that, remember, is $3,500.
Shouldn't be much, just a regular election.
I mean, not just, but it might be legal, it might be not, and we can do it, and we can talk about it. That's-
I just wanted to say, to do a referendum in the COVID year, the taxes, the way they are, does not seem to me like a good idea.
We're doing it in April. So
So COVID will be done.
Well,
Jim said so.
but it's an advisory, which means the board, or continue with the citizens. I don't think we've ever done.
I don't think this is the time to do that.
But
Well, they would tell us, right? They don't. Now we-
They elect us to make the decision, whether we need to ask them on the roads. They are going to know the whole budget or everything else that's going on. And, yeah,
I think it's open up for discussion, but we can do it during the budget. Because I think there are some times where that we all know, we'd rather, the color roads will always come up, if the roads all done, or struggle along, and as he said, for $1 million, we're doing 4 roads. And those roads are very short, they're being 3 miles.
Three roads, yeah, three little roads.
Very good, not so much.
Well, I'd say it'd be less than that.
Let's, if we could, I would like to, table this until the budget time, until we have time to really kind of, so everybody, where I need that.
Somebody needs to make a motion.
Motion to table until budget season, for budget.
Second motion?
Further discussion? None, we'll take a roll call for table and consent.
Trustee Olet?
Aye.
Trustee Sabrowski?
Aye.
Trustee McFall?
Aye.
Trustee Sal? Trustee Chadwick?
Aye.
President Birmingham?
Aye.
Trustee Burns?
All right, I'll move right along, now standing committees, number 8 is the finance committee, trustee Barton.
Thank you, President Birmingham. A couple of items here for tonight. Discussion and necessary action regarding beverage operator license FC 2024. Finance Committee recommends to the board to approve beverage operator license for Gerald Swamish, Joey Gerards. Training has been done and records check has been done.
Is that the motion? I'd like to see the Joey Gerard, so that must be something positive.
Any questions or comments about this before I ask for a vote? Seeing none, so I ask for a roll call on that one, please.
Trustee Sabrowski?
Aye.
Trustee McFall?
Aye.
Trustee Sal?
Aye.
Trustee Chadwick?
Aye.
President Birmingham?
Aye.
Trustee Garvey?
Aye.
Trustee Olet?
Aye.
Second item is discussion and necessary action regarding application for original alcohol beverage retail license Class B fermented malt beverages and reserve Class B license liquor FC 2025. This one is for Drilling Spirits LLC, doing business as BF Inoche, which is on a new building under construction right by Joey Gerard's, 6601 Northway. They're looking for the licenses so they can be open. The finance committee is recommending the board to okay this and approve it.
Second motion?
Any discussion on this topic at all? See none, so ask for roll call, please.
Trustee McFall?
Aye.
Trustee Sal?
Aye.
Trustee Chadwick?
Aye.
President Birmingham?
Aye.
Trustee Garvey?
Aye.
Trustee Olet?
Aye.
Trustee Sabrowski?
Aye.
Motion passes, thank you. Third item is the finance committee's internal audit and reviews presented for payment. Each month, we rotate this through various trustees to pull random items from ACH, P-card, and regular checks to verify that this year, or this month actually, especially one for the whole year, Trustee McFall had it. Trustee McFall gives an update.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank the girls at the Village Hall for, this was my first time I did this, so they sat me down and kind of walked me through it, and I had given them some numbers of checks, polls, and P-card purchases, and they did a really nice job, so thank the girls at the hall, especially Kayla. She did a wonderful job with me. I pulled 3, I started off with 3 from each accounts payable, the ACH payments, and the P-card purchases, and again, they pulled and made sure that they were the detailed polls on them for me, so I got to go look through it, and everything was fine, so everything was really good.
Thank you, Trustee McFall. To all the trustees, any questions at all on approvals of account payable checks for payments or ACH P-cards, and we've had the chance to look through?
There's a couple of questions and Kristen helped me.
Okay, Liz, I'll take care of it?
Yes.
Okay. And let's see, no other hands up, and that's going to go to number 4. Approval of accounts payable checks for payments. Finance Committee is recommending for the board to approve the following. Payable checks number 56838 through 56911, the amount of $245,435.37. We recommend approval of ACH payments in the amount of $663,676. And P-card purchases for this month to approve in the amount of $126,530.27. The total amount for this month to approve is $1,035,641.64.
Second motion?
Any questions on this before we move to the votes? So last for vote, please.
Trustee Sal?
Aye.
Trustee Chadwick?
Aye.
President Birmingham?
Aye.
Trustee Garvey?
Aye.
Trustee Olet?
Aye.
Trustee Sabrowski?
Aye.
Trustee McFall?
Thank you so much. The last item on the Finance Committee staff's accounts, August 31st, 2020. Do we have any updates? Thank you for coming up.
Thank you for having me.
again, thank you to certain trustee asking questions. Reiterate to all of you, if you ever do have any, something you see that you're curious about. I remember one time, a couple of years ago, where you asked about like a Disney, we had done some sort of renting of Disney movies, and what was it? It was the library showing up, so it's good, and we all can learn something from that as well. As we're going through, getting ready with this budget, estimating year ends and looking at all the different grants that we received with the COVID, the village-wide and then the health department, it is looking like that we will not be killed for 2020, or to say, we know that we're not gonna have the revenues that we thought that we would have, but because of the way that these grants are written is that if you've spent your time working on COVID things, that you can be reimbursed or having to purchase things that are used in the course of that. That where we had people budgeted to do other things, other regular course of business things that they could pull away to do for that, that we're getting reimbursed, so it's making our, the expenses for salaries that we had budgeted and still it's reduced. So especially the health department, they've had to add on people helping to do this stuff, but they're getting reimbursed for all of that and then time of the regular people, right? So as we're sitting down looking at how it's all gonna come through, you'll all be looking at it very soon, when the building manager presents her budget, and then we'll talk about it, but the estimates are looking very good in that way. Again, we still have lost revenues that, I don't know how those would come back, but in terms of the expenses, it's seeming that we're gonna be okay. That making up for those kind of offset the lost revenues that we have.
Christian, do you have a pretty confident feeling we can get those grants reimbursed this year, or is it just kind of they plan on it? You know?
Well, we've done so far, the one that was the village-wide one, already Sarah has compiled that for us, yay, and we had 2 reimbursements already. I know that the health department is in the process of one rather large one that's gonna go shortly, so I would anticipate that we'd be getting that. And before, did you know about that second portion, Sue, of getting back, you know, how you had that first chunk and then like kind of what remains?
There are 3 that we should get back in 2020 that total around 2,000.
So I think we did 164, but okay,
Yeah,
so, right, and so.
We look forward to this.
Does anyone have any other questions for Kristen? I'd like to thank you for the updates, then. President Birmingham, that concludes Finance Committee for
Thank you
tonight.
very much, Trustee Barton, I appreciate it. So, I don't believe there's anything planning commission there.
No meeting.
The library board, Trustee Sellers.
Yeah, we had a meeting on the 18th. Unfortunately, I was not able to attend, but some updates from that meeting. Starting on the 18th, Greendale School District parents were given the opportunity to register their students' ID numbers to work as library cards. The 2 previous years of this program targeted only middle school and high school students, but this year is an expansion of the program to elementary students as well. The goal being to increase student access to digital public library resources. The library will begin a subscription to an online homework and live virtual tutoring tool called BrainFuse to help support the public and parochial school students and teachers during remote learning. We also had an election of new officers. Kate Dombrowski, who is a retired school librarian, will replace Kim Midzich as the new president. And the 2021 budget for the library was discussed at length with a flat tax levy appropriation request submitted to the village manager. That is the update.
Thank you very much, Trustee Sellers. Public Works, Trustee McCall.
There was no meeting.
Very good. And Board of Health, Trustee.
No meeting.
And then, how about the next one?
Okay.
All right, Park and Rec,
No meeting.
and the celebration. We'll move on to item number 8, the board and committee appointments. I will, our next meeting, be doing the celebration committee, so that will be handled at that time. So, we'll be on that, so. Nothing tonight, and number 9, move to new business. DOT set on 2071, discussing and necessary action regarding the resolution to change the color of the fire department hydrants from green to red. Chief,
Hello, good evening. Reason why that I brought this up, it was in about May. I was getting ready to prepare my lieutenant's exam. So I was driving around the village and I was trying to take pictures and trying to get some different type of buildings that we have here that I was going to test our individuals on how they were going to go about setting up the first 2 companies to fight the fire, or if we had any other type of emergency. And I noticed all the hydrants are green. I also noticed that numerous of them blended in with the grass. They're also hidden by a lot of brush and bushes. So I brought it up to Manager Michaels, and I just asked, what is there some history behind this? So, well, they've been green probably over 25 years. Maybe this has never been brought up before, but I feel it's my job at least to bring it to your attention. I did talk to DPW with Rod to ask, is there some type of maintenance on the hydrants? He told me that it's on a 3-year cycle, that they do general maintenance, which includes painting of the hydrants, a third every year. So this is not something that would be extra. He said they certainly could do it in color red. And again, I challenge you to go behind the high school right now, go on the edge of the grass by the tennis courts. Close your eyes for a second, turn around, look at the school. You'll see the new construction by the band room. Nice cherry red hydrant. You can see it in the day, you can see it at night. I challenge you to find the other hydrant on that property. It's a small green one by the garden that they have over there. You can't see it. And to this gentleman's point, yes, we do have maps and locations where the hydrants are. But when we're in an emergency, seconds count. And if we're going in there again, this might not happen for a long time, but when it does, seconds count. The last thing we want to do is patch up a hydrant because we can't see it or can't find it. Then it's going to cause possibly more injury to my people, where we have to go to the next hydrant, drag a hose in a different place, or it could cause, again, seconds matter for your homes or for your family members. Again, do we get big fires here often? No. But the 1 or 2 times that it could save us, and there's no extra cost, and this is general maintenance, my recommendation is that we go back to cherry red. They're much more visible and they're not camouflaged in the grass and bushes.
Yes, Matt, please.
Thanks, Chief. I would move to approve resolution R 2020-14 to direct staff to change the color of the village's fire hydrants to red.
Second. Second?
Yeah.
All right, discussion.
So basically, this will be on a 3-year cycle, which you thought the normal one, so the hydrants will all turn over to green down in the 3-year period.
Correct. Whenever the cycle will start.
When does that start, next summer, or when is that back?
Yeah, typically we have a seasonal peak every summer, so with the red, it might take a little bit longer just because we're going over green. We've constantly done green, so it can be a little bit less particular, so it might take a little bit longer.
Also, a suggestion you might want to think about, save costs on it, is when it was quite some time back, but I had an Eagle Scout project, and a kid came and painted numerous. They were green, of course, but again, all we did as Public Works at the time was supply the paint and brushes. This kid did everything. He got a group of kids. He had dads going around with minivans. They were going to each one, painting them and everything. So something to think about. It's a good Eagle Scout project.
Excellent idea. Does anybody know how many hydrants we have in Greendale?
No, I know.
1,128.
Oh, could you say that number again?
1,128.
Thank you.
He didn't paint them all. He did not paint them all, but he did get the majority. He had a map. He gave them a map, and he did a.
Further questions for the chief on this one?
The fire hydrants were painted green because we're Greendale. That's the only reason. Okay. A former fire chief had a fire hydrant in front of his house. And it upset him so much, he went out there one night and he painted it red. Okay, as far as I know, it is the only red fire hydrant in all of Greendale. I should have gone and checked before tonight's meeting, just to, to verify that. But basically, that's the whole reason. We're Greendale, we're special, that's why they're green. Okay, that was the only reason. I'm glad to know about the change every 3 years. Okay, because in my opinion, we just can't afford, to change everything over all at once. And as long as that's regular maintenance, I don't have an issue with that. I do have a question on your visibility on the winter time. Red and green, and I deal with color all the time. Red and green, it does not make a difference in color when it comes to winter time. Okay?
That's right, that's why they have the snow sticks that come up above this thumb on the more used hydrants.
Right.
Visible form.
I'm just saying, color-wise,
No matter what
vision-wise,
color they are.
yeah, against snow, it doesn't make a difference. Where it makes a difference is when you have the lighter colors, the pink, the yellows, the beiges. That's where you can't see against the snow. But then you're opposite in the spring and summertime. So I got that. But that's the answer for the green fire hydrants.
Any further questions for the chief on this? If there's none, we'll take a roll call for approval of change.
Trustee Chadwick?
Aye.
President Birmingham?
Aye.
Trustee Guardian?
Aye.
Trustee Olet?
Aye.
Trustee Zebrowski?
Aye.
Trustee McFall?
Aye.
Trustee Sel?
Aye.
Okay. We'll get you Or we should say public work.
And it better be the brightest and cheery grid you possibly can find, okay?
All right, moving to the next item. DOT 2072, discussing necessary action for parade permit requested by Larson for back to back. Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the parade permit requested for the back dash as requested.
Second motion?
Further discussion on this item? Yes.
I just want to say I think this is an absolutely great event. I will be there personally, and I can't thank you enough for doing this. I really appreciate it. So thank you.
I agree.
I would say from all of us, we would say this is a great event, so I'm sure we will.
I also think it's a great event, and thank you for your effort in that. I would just like to say again, it is this Saturday, October 10th, 10 to 12, in front of Village Hall. In case I know you spoke up once, but
Right after we drop the boxes off for sure.
that's great.
So anyways, we'll take a roll call for approval.
President Birmingham?
Aye.
Trustee Guardian?
Affirmative.
Trustee Olet?
Aye.
Trustee Zebrowski?
Aye.
Trustee McFall?
Aye.
Trustee Sel?
Aye.
Trustee Chadwick?
Aye.
All right, moving right along to item number 3, DOT 2073, discussing necessary action regarding an agreement for mutual assistance between the city of Milwaukee Fire Department. Chief, please.
Okay, this one might take just a little bit longer. Just a little quick history. Shared services started about 6 or 7 years ago. At that time, I was in the city of Milwaukee. What it was a group trying to get the communities that surround each other to help each other out more. What it was is a number of past history. You looked at fire departments traditionally and communities, they want to take care of their own. We don't need outside help. Okay. When they got together, and you can imagine 11 communities had 11 attorneys. And to get those 11 attorneys to sit in a room and agree on the language was almost impossible. So at the time, about 6 years ago when the vote came, and you were still president at the time, Greendale, Hales Corners, Cudahy, and South Milwaukee. Those were the 4 that did not decide to join originally. And some of the language in the contract that, from my understanding, that bothered people was that if we had an incident here in Greendale, a bigger incident now, where other communities would come into Greendale. Say Franklin came in, Greenfield came in, Hills Corners came in, we had an event. If one of their firefighters got hurt in Greendale, who's responsible for that? And that was not really very clear in the language. So that's been really cleaned up at this point, that Greendale takes care of Greendale, no matter where we go. If we happen to go to Franklin, and one of my members gets hurt, Greendale is going to take care of them. If an Oak Creek person comes into Greendale at a big event and an Oak Creek firefighter gets hurt, that's on Oak Creek. Okay, but this is going to open up things where we can work with our neighbors much more regularly. This came about now that the 128th and the airport also want to join shared services, that they see the importance of it. A couple weeks ago, the ICC had the meeting, and it did pass unanimously between all the village presidents and the mayors. One of the concerns that I was told was some of the language as far as operations is concerned, that the fire chiefs wanted to have control of operations. And I certainly would agree with that. For an example, we went to the Cudahy high-rise fire, okay? Our group went there. Had a fire on the 10th floor, person passed away. High-rise protocol states that every 5th floor, you can use the elevator, but you have to get off the floor 5 floors below the fire. So we could take all our equipment up to the 5th floor. We had to get off and take everything up the stairs. That's operations and how we deal with a fire. Now, if we wanted to somehow have some training and change that to say, well, now you should only go 4 floors instead of 5, the fire chiefs believe we should have that ability to change the operations of firefighting. That every little change that we would make countywide, that we would have to come in front of the board and get your approval. As far as running the fire department, the board still oversees everything. As far as losing our identity, that's not going to happen. Each individual community stays the individual community. One of the biggest things, the benefits of shared service, is training. A lot of people see the fire department, we go on occasional fire here, and we go on EMS calls. Well, I can tell you the members of the Greendale Fire Department do so much more on a day-to-day basis. So when you ask that question, I encourage all members to come forward and ask questions. Please come and learn more about your fire department. There's so much more you guys can learn and understand of how we do things on a daily basis. And training is one of the biggest things that we lack in, and it's not because the guys and girls don't want to, it's because of the time factor. We start training, then all of a sudden a call comes in. We start training, we have to go doing inspections. We start training, we have a PR event to go to. Training gets on the back burner. With shared services now, what we can do is say, next week, I want to train with Hills Corners. We work together, pose layouts, how we can work together if we come upon an emergency scene together. We call up shared services. Franklin or Creek would bring a apparatus here. Now we can go and train for 2 hours uninterrupted, and the service still in Greendale is going to stay intact. Now, if you got my email this morning, you saw mutual aid. How does this going to affect us? How does it affect us right now? Currently this year, we've gone out of the city, out of the village 201 times. We've gotten mutual aid into the village 137 times. That's 68% compared to 32%, a third of the time that we're giving out more aid than what's coming in. And to your point, I can't see that changing, okay? Do we always gonna have the rigs from Greendale taking care of Greendale residents? Honestly, that's not gonna always happen. We don't have big fires, like I said, on a regular basis. Majority of our times when we leave the city, our paramedic rig is going to Hills Corners. Our paramedic ambulance is going to Franklin or Greenfield. Occasionally our fire truck with 4 people will go and help Franklin or Greenfield. But it's most of the time the ambulance. So then we still have 2 people back in Greendale to start things, and then we get more people in to take care of what's going on in Greendale. So training is a huge advantage of what shared services is gonna be like. Then we're gonna have more protocols that we're on the same page throughout the entire county, okay, which makes a lot of sense to me. Why should we have a certain kind of hose, Greenfield have a different kind of hose, Franklin have a different kind of hose? We need to have these meetings that were more standardized. It's only gonna help the community. What if you call 911 and you are in a true emergency? Obviously, I think, because I have a lot of faith in our members of the Greendale Fire Department, that I would want a Greendale member to come, but are you gonna really look at that shirt when you're in need of help? You just want somebody there to help you. So with shared services, you're gonna have that service, okay? And sometimes it might not be somebody from Greendale, but that service is still gonna be there, and it's gonna give us so much more advantages, again, like training, and different topics that we have. So that is my plea with shared services. I think we have nothing to lose and so much to gain, especially in this type of community. A lot of times when, say, West Dallas and the North Shore want to train, they're never gonna ask us, because we're a single firehouse, to go leave and go watch their neighborhood. We will not get asked to evacuate Greendale. So that's an advantage of having the one firehouse here. We can ask for help, but necessarily for the training part of it, we are not going out to them. That's a benefit us. Any questions on shared services?
I just got one question that was brought up some time ago, and that was about battalion chiefs. And there's only one department that had a call. And that was the talk that the battalion chief would be in charge, and not necessarily the chief from the individual area. Is that?
I can tell you, if there's a fire in Greendale, I will be in charge. A battalion chief will not be. If I am here, I live 5 minutes away. If I'm not on vacation, when you hired me, I guaranteed you I would be here, unless, of course, I'm not home. Otherwise, if I would happen to be gone, we have a battalion chief from Greenfield, a battalion chief from Franklin that would come in, and they would supersede our captain and take care of the incident.
That was one of the questions that you.
But yes, I have my radio on, I have my phone on 24 hours a day. If an incident comes in, I will be
Go
there.
first to Jason.
Question, couldn't our captain just be in charge, or somebody from Greenfield or Franklin?
You could say that, but then we're losing manpower from our apparatus. If we're running with 4 people, the captain or the lieutenant is first on scene. They do a quick size up of the building or a car accident, a quick size up of the incident. They'll give a radio report of what they see, what they're gonna do, and if they need any more help. Then they need to stay with their crew and be a worker, not so much, I can't afford to have one person stand out by the road and then have only 2 people go in. That's kind of a safety issue also. I have trust in all 6 of my officers. They know how to do a size up. They know how to handle a car accident. They know how to handle a fire. But when it comes down to it, I need them with their crew to take care of their crew.
So that's why you don't think we would need a battalion chief here?
I think for us to need a battalion, we would need more than one firehouse.
Really?
Because a battalion is really more than one firehouse.
Oh.
I mean, if you're gonna give me 6 more firefighters, I'd love to have it.
Yeah.
I think that was sold.
Yeah. So, no, I just wondered, but I mean, I have a lot of concerns about this, I have to say. You know, I don't like the idea of all of our people not being here taking care of Greendale. I do like Greendale taking care of Greendale. And, you know, if I have a heart attack, I would want one of my Greendale people here. That's just kind of how I feel. And I'm also afraid that I think that we're going to be called so much more to go other places that they're going to need it more than we will. And I think we're going to have a lot of calls that are going to be away, and that number is going to really increase. Will there always be a paramedic here, like on standby, or everyone's gonna be gone and then we're gonna be stuck with someone from Milwaukee, or, I mean, how is that?
One of my things, if this passes, standby would be limited. And that's gonna be a savings for us, because then, once we're out on a call, automatically on the computer, other communities move and that our area is covered. So let's just use an example, say we do not do this and you vote no. What's gonna happen if we have a big incident in Greendale? Right now, if we get on scene and God forbid a strip mall is on fire, say a coffee shop. And I, as the chief of command, need 4 engines, 2 ladder trucks, a med unit, and 3 chiefs. That's the standard for a full assignment. Automatically, I would get, if we're in shared service, I would get 4 engines, 2 trucks, a med unit, 3 chiefs, whoever's the closest. If that means Franklin's giving us 2 engines and a ladder truck and emptying their city out, that's shared services, they're coming, no questions asked. On the flip side, if we are not in shared service, same example, I need 4 engines. The 2 closest one besides us are Franklin. They don't have to give it to us. They can say, I'm not entering my city, I'll give you 1. So then we'll have to go to Oak Creek. We might have to go to West Dallas. Might have to go to Milwaukee. I've seen miles and miles apart, time. Fire doubles every 18 seconds. We don't have that time. We need the close, most appropriate apparatus. If you're having a heart attack, say we're on another call, the closest med unit would come to help you. If we aren't in shared services, that community can say, no, they're tied up here, you gotta wait for somebody else.
But they probably would be here, because they wouldn't have to go anywhere else.
If we were on another call in Greendale, which is 24% of our time right now.
I understand all the positives on this, and that I just want to answer the question in email, saying, but this in no way opens us up down the road of being taken over with our fire department by consolidation or anything like that. It doesn't open a door at all, correct?
Absolutely not. This is not a discussion about consolidation. One, I don't think it would pass with most of the community's boards or mayors. That really hasn't been brought up much, except for one fire chief. And we're looking at shared services to take care of a lot of those issues that we have of being able to have borders work together. You know, over the years, in the past, when each community took care of itself, we had 1,000 calls a year here. Now we are over 2,300 calls a year here. And staffing has not increased. Other communities that are bigger than us, their staffing actually has gone down. So we really need to rely on our partners and our neighbors to give the best service to everybody.
But we do have that now, though. But now you're saying we won't have it once this goes through.
Correct.
Okay.
It's done in
So we have mutual
2021.
aid, but not, okay.
No, I really see I like all the positives in this, potential savings even. My concern was what Ron brought up. If there's no issue with consolidation, no relation at all, I'm totally good with this. And I want to make a motion to approve the agreement for mutual assistance between all Milwaukee County Fire Departments with the village manager's recommendation to modify section 4.1 to remove the last sentence regarding the fire chiefs being able to amend the agreement with village board approval.
Second?
I'm just gonna bring up the issue of the email. You know, obviously, it's much better for the chief to be able to move quicker on the fly, have the ability to change the operational plan. But given the board's past concerns about other communities influencing us or pushing us in certain directions, we asked for that motion at the section that it says where the chief has the authority to amend the operational agreement anytime that we took that out, at least for now.
And so you guys know, I talked to you about looking at it, the ICC. I was one of the communities that was a question, and Chief brought it up right from the beginning. I think it was all worked out, when we stayed here now, we understood, once they explained to us what that meant, and so what it was is more of an operation, things they wanted to do along the way. And we gotta realize, this is probably, Chief, how many years in the works?
So when I believe it's the 7th year now.
7th year of working on this. it's something
It's
to
kind of the same thing like mutual aid though, right?
get
Yeah,
all the
say something.
communities to agree on doing this thing. It took a long time to put it together, just.
But so it is still like mutual aid. and that's
Mutual
what-
aid is strictly for call volume. There's so much more with shared services as far as training is concerned.
It's the first time we've been able to come to the table as all the communities and say, you know what, we put away all of our thoughts and ideas. And we've been one of those communities that guys, you know, that in 6 years here, since I've been president, that my word has come from you guys.
And do all of our firefighters support this?
The ones I've talked to, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, and I think all the way along, all fire chiefs do as well. So I'm totally, I've been satisfied that this is great for our community. So, yes.
I've always believed that, sharing, okay, saves money. Okay, so in other words, like, we have a tower, okay, but maybe, Franklin doesn't, so, but they can come here and practice. Okay, so to me, that's good, type of thing. I've also considered Franklin, all the other communities, you're all professionals, okay? If Franklin needs you, and Greendale's okay, you'll go to Franklin. So to me, this, shared services, I'm not so sure if we have to put a name on it, because I do believe that they're all professionals and I believe they'll go. I must admit, I worry this is like the first step, because we're all playing nice. Okay, and if we're all playing nice,
It took us
shouldn't we,
7 years to get. to
yeah,
this, really.
but I think on the whole, I think all the steps that you're talking about, the shared, the things, I think in our society, in our world today, I think that's where we're going, and I think we need that. Okay, so, and I have absolutely no problems with chiefs making that decision to go to the 4th floor, not to the 5th. You go for it, whatever you want.
And I don't want to bring this up, but there is a clause in the contract that if you're unhappy with it, you have a 90-day notice to leave shared service, which I hope.
And it really did work.
For what I see, I think this is going to be a good thing. But for some reason, if it takes a turn. Sorry?
If we would see that it would be like a decline, and I just want to make sure that our citizens get the best possible service like they used to. I wouldn't want that to suffer. And you're saying that it absolutely wouldn't if it get better.
I think the chief is, clear. As we grow, recently built a new fire department, but we're growing bigger than where we're at, and we're still getting more and more calls. We're an aging community, a lot of calls. My dad used to be at the Harvard House, so we're here daily there many times. So it's really growing. I think this mutual aid really, that's where it helps us. I've used them several times with my dad. And within minutes, we've had Greenfield, Franklin, and our guys show up. Any other questions?
Like I said, I just want to thank the chief because, thank you for taking the time and explaining this, because like I said, we're all got Greendale ties, and, we want what's best for, like Donna said, what's best for our residents. But thank you again for explaining this and giving us the facts, and again, good, nice work.
All right, with that, we have a first and second. We'll take a roll call for approval of acceptance.
Trustee Garvin.
Affirmative.
Trustee Alette.
Aye.
Trustee Savarese.
Aye.
Trustee McFall.
Aye.
Trustee Snell.
Aye.
Trustee Chadwick.
Aye.
President Berthelsen.
Aye, thank you, chief. And the next one is the chief as well. DOT 2074, discuss necessary action regarding an intergovernmental agreement between Milwaukee County EMS and the Village of Greenville.
Okay, one more for me. This one I think will be a no-brainer and very easy. The history of the paramedic program goes back 20-some years when I first started. The Milwaukee County EMS used to give out $5 million to the communities to cover the paramedic cost. Then it went down to $3 million. And then the contract went down to $1.5 million. And President Birmingham, you were there. I was at the meeting where it was when Kristen presented this program. It was County Exec Averly's last meeting, and they wanted to pass that to make sure the paramedic program was still getting funded somewhat, 1.5 million for the next 5 years. How does that money get split up? If you can see from the second page that currently Greendale is afforded that Milwaukee County will pay for up to 22 paramedics. Currently, we have 18 of our 19 people are paramedics. I'm still including one. Obviously, I'm not on the road like the other individuals are, but I've kept up my license. So we do have 18 of our 19 people are considered paramedics. And again, we are allotted up to 22. Then if you go to the page that has the color, the light green, the blue, and the blue, this is the good news. You'll see that in 2016 and 17, Greendale got 0 from that amount. Then it went up to $3,225 a year. All the way up to this year, 2020, we got $9,677 of that $1.5 million. We got a very small piece of the pie. But if you can look at all the 9 communities in Milwaukee County that have paramedic service, because right now Hales Corners, Cudahy, St. Francis, the airport does not. 4 communities are going to raise, they're going to get more money over the 5-year program. 5 communities are going to get less money. If you look at ours, every single year we go up. By the year 2026, we're going to be up to almost $30,000, which is fantastic. They recognize the job that we do. They realize our call volume with the amount of people that we have is constantly going up. And they felt with the way the numbers came out that Greendale deserved more money. So I think this is a fantastic, for us, for our paramedic program. That we're just every year for the 5-year contract that they want this signed, that it's guaranteed that we have that 1.5 million for the next 5 years. And this is the piece of the pie that we get.
Next question. Go ahead.
Are we looking to get 100% paramedics for all of our people? That everyone's
I'm sure once Captain Wojnowski retires, our next hires, we will seriously, we need paramedics here. Yeah. So yes, we will be 100%.
Question, Jason, please.
Question for you, and just using this year, we're at 9,000, and the next lowest is 92,000. Why is it,
Why are we so low?
$90,000 less?
The way they figure it out by the call volume compared to amount of people, of the communities that have paramedics, we're the smallest community. It goes by volume of people.
You mean really to get from
And the formula is with actually the square footage.
right time.
Yeah, when we originally got in, we were not one of the host communities. We received service from Greenfield and Franklin. We didn't have our own paramedic unit when we started it. Part of the kind of agreement between the various chiefs was that we would take money. So we didn't ask for that portion of money, but they're obviously realizing and trying to even the playing field, say, yeah, you were an original host community, but you're doing the same thing South Milwaukee does. Who isn't?
Really, you gotta look at the number of people in the service with 18 paramedics, that's what makes it. Further question, I'll take a motion.
Yep, I'd like to make a motion to move to approve the intergovernmental agreement with Milwaukee County for emergency medical services from 1/1/21 to 12/31/2025. Second.
Any further discussion? If not, we'll take a roll call for 3 minutes.
Trustee Alette?
Aye.
Trustee Sabrowski?
Aye.
Trustee McFall?
Aye.
Trustee Sell?
Aye.
Trustee Capus?
Aye.
President Birmingham?
Aye.
Trustee Brett?
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
The only question I have is the form that you have to sign, that's something you need me to get to you, or is that something on a computer from one county?
Yeah,
I'll get that to you.
Get it worded and adjust that one spot.
Thank you, Chief.
Now we gotta sign. All the presidents and mayors have to sign this. Thank you, guys. Good seeing you. All right, with that, we'll move on to number 8, DOT 2075. Discussion necessary action regarding a resolution to join the Wisconsin Public Employees Group Insurance Program beginning January 1st, 2021.
Thank you. As late as today, we're still negotiating between private providers health insurance and going into the state plan. We've asked the state if we can have 2 more weeks, and they said yes. So there's a lot of changes, and you know, once you're in the benefit we're at now is we can change anything in health insurance plans that we want to save money, to make benefits better, whatever we want to do. Once we get the state plan, it will save money, but you're stuck with their plan design. So like this year, there are people who are in the state plan went up 8%. You know, that's because of our higher rates we're getting. We're actually seeing under some of the different scenarios available, you know, no increase, but there's big benefits to it, just that go along with these. So we want to analyze it some more, and we'll just bring it back to the next board. And the only other thing I'll bring up now, just so you remember, is the village attorney's not going to be here, so we're not going to do the item in closed session.
All right, with that, we'll move right along. We'll go on to item number 10, officer's report.
We're just gonna get any motion to wait on that.
No, I have nothing for.
I think all I have is, I don't think we had a meeting since we had holidays. Everybody that made that work out, it was fantastic. Again, thank you for all you did. Thank you, celebration committee, GA, everybody that had a part of holiday celebration. It was just fantastic. So again,
The Lions did a lot for that, and I just give a shout out to them, their food was outstanding.
and all the events I think we've had this year as a part of even COVID things going on, Green Yellow Shine has really taken care of themselves. Pushing where we need to keep people part of it. We could have done better on that maybe, but I think
They're available.
I think in all we had a wonderful summer. So all the events we had were great this summer. So I just let's see that. So that's all I have, and with that, we'll take the last citizens' comments time. You can come up and please anything you have to say, about 2 minutes or 5 minutes. Everybody talked out in the first round. Okay. So with that, we're going to move on to closed session. We have to go on to that. So the board is only going to go into view the board will continue closed sessions. Section 1985C. To consider employment, promotion, and compensation or performance evaluation for public employees in which we are governing. Specifically to discuss the village manager's goals and objectives for the fourth quarter and the village manager's 2020 performance evaluation. We will not come back into open session. That I'm taking a motion for adjourn.
Motion to adjourn and go into closed session.
Second motion?
Roll call for approval.
Trustee McFall?
Aye.
Trustee Sal?
Aye.
Trustee Chadwick?
Aye.
President Remington?
Aye.
Trustee Guardian?
Aye.
Trustee Oles?
Aye.
Trustee Zebrowski?
Aye.
All right, guys.